So this is going to sound like a bit of a strange video, but it's something I think you need to know about me, especially those of you who've been following me for a while or subscribed for a while. This video is going to be about my explanation as to why I don't have very many friends. And that's going to sound really odd. So it's not people don't like me. I know a lot of people, I get on with a lot of people, and from what people say, people have a lot of nice things to say about me, which is really nice. I have a lot of people around me that say I'm like Sweden, is it? They say I'm kind of the neutral party and everything. I'm not political, but apparently it's a political statement. I'm sure it's Sweden. And that I just get on with everybody. I know a lot of people and I'll talk to a lot of different people, but I don't like to pick sides. I don't like to get into huge friendship groups because I can't keep up with it. I can't maintain huge groups of friends. I've always said friends are people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I have people who have been in my life for a lifetime, but I might not see them very often. But I know if I turned up on their doorstep, they would not turn me away. If I turned up on their doorstep and they hadn't seen me for 10 years, it would be like I didn't see them for a week, except we'd have a lot to talk about. And, you know, it would be kettle on, come and have a cup of tea, this is lovely. And we'd always say, we mustn't leave it so long next time. And then inevitably it'll be another 10 years. So those are my lifetime friends. And I do have a handful of those people that I consider my lifetime friends. There are people that are there for a reason. And I think that's either for me to help them in their life or for them to help me in my life. Or because at that time it serves us both. You know, either the situation or the group or the way we've become friends, you know, the circumstances, you know, maybe it's because we've been involved in the same group or we have a skill or something that the other person can use, and so you kind of get close, and then when that is completed you may kind of drift away and you might not see that person ever, or you might bump into them in passing, have a quick hi and then move on. But they're not the sort of people that you'd ring up in a crisis, or you know, you've probably never gone to their house for a cup of tea. Or if you have, it was mainly to serve whatever the purpose was that you were there for each other. And then there's a season, the friendships who are there for a season. And I don't mean like autumn, winter, summer. I just mean a season in your life. So there were people from childhood that were there, but they're not my people now. There are people from my teens. Again, they're not my people now. And by seasons, I think you change. So back then we suited each other, but maybe not so much now. There are people from different parts of my growing up. You know, people from my clubbing days who I might still talk to on social media, but we don't hang out and we never see each other. But it's nice to know they're okay. But without social media, those people I probably wouldn't speak to, or I wouldn't know what's going on in their lives. So if it wasn't for the fact we have Instagram and Facebook and various other things, they would be proper seasoned friends. So they were there for my clubbing days, they were there for my school life, they were there when I had my first baby, and they were there for a period of time, not just like the reason friends, you know, that's a shorter time. They could be there for six years, you know, and then not be there anymore. But again, they're not the sort of people that you would go and knock on the door, ring in an emergency. So there are a lot of people I've known through my life, and I found it very easy to get on with people. But I can't maintain huge groups of friendships. And I don't know how people do it. I just find life gets in the way. My boys took up a lot of my time when they were little. And even when they were not physically taking up my time, everything with the autism and the Tourette's and the, you know, kind of their medical needs and things like that just made it really hard for me to think about anything else for years and years of my life, and to make time for other people, because I felt all consumed in what was happening in my family and in my life. Now that my children are older and more self-sufficient and have learned coping skills and are managing much better without my constant support, I'm feeling like I have more time for friends. But I've learnt that I don't want a lot of friends. People, as a general rule, I find quite difficult, unless they are very like-minded people. I find some people's energies, I can adore some people, but find their energy too draining, either because they are just too over the top, require too much of my focus. I don't mean this in a nasty way. They kind of become emotional vampires. And I don't think they do it intentionally, but some people's energy is just incredibly exhausting. And I can spend time with them, but I have to know that that period of time is just for a period of time. I have to know that it's not, that I can put a closure on that time and not overrun into more than I can cope with. And I come away feeling anxious, I come away feeling stressed, snappy, wound up. And it's not that I don't like these people, because I do like them. And they are friends, and they've been very good friends. But their energy just drains me. There are other people whose energy ignites me and sparks me and brings out the playful side in me. Usually those people are the ones that also would be like my drinking buddies if I was to go out for a night out and drink. And, you know, a lot of those people are ones as well that I could turn to in an emergency. You know, I've got several of those that bring up some really good energy in me, and I know will be there if I need them. And then there are my kind of my lifetime friends who I could just call on anytime, middle of the night. If something happened, I could ring them up and they would be here to sit with my children. You know, they'd be the ones that call me to check I'm okay. So those are the ones that I can't maintain. And in fact, a lot of them feel the same, I think, that I can't maintain full-on friendships. That I've not forgotten about them, but life gets in the way and then I can come back to them. And I just feel less stressed like this. As I've got older, I've kind of gone, a few good friends is better than lots of friends. Quality over quantity is maybe what it is. True friends as well. I've learnt that I've had friends in the past that actually were not particularly kind about me behind my back, or who drew me into gossip. And I don't like gossip, but I'd find myself sitting around somewhere and think, we've talked about 3 different people and none of it's been particularly pleasant. I'm realising that those people thrive off gossip and drama and I don't. And then I started to think, well, if that's what they do, around me, then what do they say about me and do with other people? Because I'm sure there's something about me that annoys them, and I'm sure I've been the topic of conversation, you know, over someone else's cup of tea and biscuits. And how much of my kind of confiding in them has been shared over one of those conversations, because I'm hearing a lot of things that I'm assuming this other person has confided in them and has asked to go no further. And I learned the hard way with people like that. I got burnt several times. And this leads me on to the next thing. The reason I get burnt by people is because I've spent all my life looking after children. I spend pretty much 95% of my social time with children, mainly between the ages of 6 months and 5 years. And so I kind of have this bubble of innocence, bubble of play, magic, wonder. And like I said in my video the other day, that's a great place to be. But adults can severely dent that bubble. I don't expect people to behave in certain ways. I don't see when I'm being manipulated. I don't see when I'm being when someone's being a bit sly or underhanded to get something. I don't see those things, and that catches me out. I've had some terrible times when I have been absolutely heartbroken because I've just not seen it coming. When children learn to be deceitful and sly and manipulative, it's a skill we all learn. It's a survival skill. Sometimes we have to lie. Sometimes, you know, we have to kind of work out a situation to try and get what we want. It's in us. It's our animal brain, you know, it's survival. And you see children learning this skill around the age of 4 and starting to say, well, if I do this, then you can do that, and then I get that toy that I wanted because I need it because I'm going to be the princess, or, you know, whatever it is. They kind of work out how to manipulate the situation to get what they want. But it's so obvious, might not be to their peers, but it's so obvious to me what they're doing, because it's not practice, and you know, they're learning it. It's a new skill for them. It's not a tightly toned skill, whatever. But when someone's been doing it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and some people, it's not just a survival skill, some people live that way, tightly controlling the people around them and using skills to do that, the way they speak, the things they say, their reactions to things, you know, they live that way. And I don't see it until it's too late, usually until I've been hurt or they've turned on me, or behaved in a way that I can't understand. So I find people confusing and complex, and I expect everybody to be as innocent and gentle and sweet as children. So the thought, if I was to give up this job and go and work with adults, I think I'd last 5 minutes. I don't think I'd last very long at all, because I can't be in groups of adults for very long before I feel overwhelmed. I can last longer if I've had a gin and tonic. Because I guess your inhibitions and stuff are reduced and you probably don't hear half of what's been said. But I'm not a huge drinker, so, you know, the thought of going out and having a big boozy night and, you know, and being able to relax with big groups of people just doesn't appeal to me. So that's a little bit about why I don't have a lot of friends. I know a lot of people and I get on with a lot of people, but I don't have a lot of friends. And actually, one thing I'd like to say now is online friends I am making some amazing connections with some amazing online people who I'd never have met in the real world, who I do hope at some point to meet in the real world. But I think I can manage that because there's no expectations. You know, we comment on each other's videos, we comment on each other's social media. We help each other out when we need to. I've had emails, you know, we email each other. I've got quite a few online friends now that have been there for tricky moments, who I've met up with, who I'd like to meet up with, who I can ask advice, who support me on my YouTube. But they don't expect any more, and there's no daily pressure from them. So I think maybe I should have more online friends. Maybe that's what I need to do. But yeah, my view is quality over quantity. So that's why I don't have many friends. That's my story.